right, so China hits back at Canada with fresh agricultural tariffs. That's according to Reuters here. China announced tariffs on over $2.6 billion worth of Canadian agricultural and food products on Saturday, retaliating against levies Ottawa introduced in October after opening a new front in a trade war largely driven by the U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats. The levies announced by the Commerce Ministry and scheduled to take effect on March 20th match the 100% and 25% import duties Canada slapped on China-made electric vehicles and steel and aluminum products just over 4 months ago. By excluding canola, which is also known as rapeseed. I didn't even know I didn't even know till that article that canola is also known as rapeseed. Well, now I kind of know why I feel bad by eating seed oils. I never thought you can use the term being molested by engine oil. And was one of Canada's top exports by being the world's number one agricultural importer prior to China investigating it for its anti-dumping last year. Beijing may be keeping the door open for trade talks. But the tariff also serves as a warning shot, analysts say, with the Trump administration's having signaled it could ease 25% import levies to the White House is threatening Canada and Mexico if they apply the same 20% duty he has slapped on Chinese goods over fentanyl flows. Canada's measures seriously violate World Trade Organization rules, constitute a typical act of protectionism, and are discriminatory measures that are severely harm China's legitimate rights and interests, the Commerce Ministry said in a statement. China will apply a 100% tariff to just over $1 billion of Canadian rapeseed oil. I don't know why that's funny to me, being called rapeseed. Oil cakes and pea imports, and a 25% duty on $1.6 billion worth of Canadian aquatic products and pork. Why would they use aquatic products? Why not just call it fish? Aquatic products. That's just weird wording, they said. But that, again, this is Reuters. The timing may be severe serve as a warning shot, said Dan Wang, China director at Eurasia's Group in Singapore. By striking now, China reminds Canada of the cost of aligning too closely with American trade policy. China's delayed response to Ottawa's October tariffs likely reflects both capacity constraints and strategic signaling, she added. The Commerce Ministry is stretched thin, juggling trade disputes with the U.S. and European Union. Canada, a lower priority, had to wait its turn. The Canadian Embassy in Beijing did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in August that Ottawa's imposing the levies to counter what he called China's intentional state-directed policy over overcapacity following the lead of the United States and European Union, both of which also implied imports levies to Chinese-made EVs. Now, also, fun fact to note, that this was also the time that Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party were also being investigated for Chinese interference. So, putting the tariff on Chinese-made EVs, electric vehicles, also served as a cover for Justin Trudeau because now he's looking tougher towards China. He's able to fight back towards China by putting these tariffs on as he's being investigated by Chinese influence during the election. Just to point that out. In response, China said in September, launched an anti-dumping investigation into Canadian canola imports. More than half of Canada's canola exports go to China as the trade was worth $3.7 billion in 2023, according to the Canola Council of Canada. Beijing could also be hoping that a change in government in Ottawa makes it more amenable. Canada's next national election must be held by October 20th. China is Canada's second largest trading partner, trailing far behind the United States. Canada exported $47 billion worth of goods to the world's second largest economy in 2024, according to Chinese customs data. China is Canada's third most important pork export market. It takes products in which Canada does not have easy alternative markets, said Cam Dahl, general manager of the Manitoba Pork Council. This, the things we export to China, heads, for example, are parts of the animal that they don't have easy other markets, he said. We can't take that container that's going to China and ship it to Mexico. China is Canada's number 2 market for canola, said Chris Davidson, President and CEO of the Canola Council of Canada. So, interesting that while we get, information, while we're being told that, all the focus is on the United States and their tensions and their tariffs and Donald Trump versus someone like Mark Carney who's going to fight back with the retaliatory tariffs, that this is also going on. And I haven't heard a word about this. I have not heard a word about this until this article, until this Reuters article came out. That China is putting these harsh tariffs on our agriculture. We're putting these harsher tariffs on their EVs, again, to make us look tougher because you're being investigated for Chinese influence. You want to do that. And also because the European Union and the United States also did similar things. But I do have to say, I do have to come clean and say that, this is pretty bad, but I'm also a bit biased when it comes to the rapeseed, the canola oil market, because of what we know about canola oil. So, as bad as it is, maybe the canola oil business could, do something more productive instead of manufacturing harmful synthetic chemicals that ends up in your food and actually is more dangerous to your body. Just saying. Maybe look at the brighter side. So, I wonder if this has anything to do with it. That why even Mark Carney hasn't brought attention to this. So, this is from the Bureau. That this is Sam Cooper's Substack. Sam Cooper is a great investigative journalist here. Points out Brookfield's deep ties to Chinese land, loans, and green deals, and a real estate tycoon with CCP links raise questions as Carney takes over for Trudeau. Brookfield bet billions on Shanghai land as China's market peaked and secured $276 million. Bank of China refinancing under Mark Carney as market crashed. So I wonder if this has something to do with not being more aggressive towards China, but going full force towards the United States. I wonder if that has something to do with it. A review of corporate documents reveals that Brookfield, the influential $900 billion Canadian investment fund, from which Liberal Prime Minister-to-be Mark Carney stepped away from in order to replace Justin Trudeau as Canada's leader, maintains over $3 billion in politically sensitive investments with Chinese state-linked real estate and energy companies, alongside with a substantial offshore banking presence. One of its major real estate ventures is $750 million entry into high-end Shanghai commercial property in 2013, involved a Hong Kong tycoon affiliated with the Chinese People's Political Cultivation Conference, or CPPCC, which the CIA labels a Central United Front entity of Beijing. The investment occurred while China's real estate bubble was peaking. Last year, as China's market crashed and vacancies soared in Shanghai, Brookfield, under Carney, secured hundreds of millions of dollars in loans from the Bank of China to refinance its Shanghai commercial land holdings. According to the Bureau's research, this emergency loan came a decade after Carney's survey as the governor of the Bank of England aided Beijing by facilitating the Bank of China's expansion of its global financial footprint. In his 2013 speech, UK at the heart of renewed globalization, Carney announced that the Bank of England has signed an agreement with the People's Bank of China, helping the internationalization of the renminbi is a global good. While Brookfield had already a massive, well over $3 billion in estimated investments and managed assets in China before Carney took the helm in 2020, research indicates that they play a role in expanding the firm's footprint there. This included refinancing its 2019 acquisition of Shanghai commercial real estate, initially valued at approximately $2 billion Canadian at the peak of China's real estate bubble, though its actually worth was likely significantly lower than Brookfield secured only $300 million at 4% interest from the Bank of China last year. Given that his history of deep investment in China, if not his holdings reportedly now placed in a blind trust, could potentially color Carney's plans for Canada. These developments are especially notable as a trade war between the United States and Beijing escalates. Carney and his cabinet ministers will be sworn in at 11 a.m. this morning, meaning last Friday, at Rideau Hall, the Governor General's official residence. The timing of Carney's appointment as Prime Minister adds urgency to the ongoing questions about political conflicts of interest, with matters further complicated by reports that his first international meeting with the European leaders next week, who are themselves grappling with sweeping tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. Brookfield's substantial investments in China, directly or indirectly involving stake-linked entities, include hundreds of millions in renewable energy assets acquired through Tetraform Global in 2017, a $750 million real estate stake in China since 2013, a 2019 Shanghai land purchase value at approximately $2 billion, a $100 million joint venture with GLP for solar projects that launched in 2018, and reported plans to raise hundreds of millions more in both real estate and China green sector investments. All of which that has never been asked to Mark Carney. Just pointing that out. And now he's prime minister because nobody was allowed to ask these questions. In 2013, the year Xi Jinping became president, Brookfield made its first major foray into China's real estate sector, investing up to $750 million for a 22% stake in China. I don't even know how to pronounce that. A subsidiary of Hong Kong-listed developer Xi On Land. The cornerstone investment in China gives Brookfield access to high-quality assets in Shanghai while creating opportunities for future growth through asset acquisitions and strategic partnerships. Bill Powell, Brookfield's Australianized chief executive, said in a press release. China is a key market in Brookfield's long-term growth strategy, and partnering with Xi On Land to invest in China is an ideal entry point for us. So that's probably why there's no aggression towards China, because now our Prime Minister Mark Carney, we know that has deep ties to Brookfield, deep ties to international conglomeracy like the WEF, the World Bank. We know that he's a central banker, has huge amounts of business ties with China. And he doesn't want to lose those investment ties. Even though he's prime minister, even though he walked away from that private sector, he doesn't want to lose the opportunity for Brookfield. So all the tariffs that China's putting on stay silent while everyone's focused on America. And here's also something to note too. Right now, Prime Minister Carney will travel to France and the United Kingdom to strengthen trade and defense ties with reliable partners, according to the Prime Minister's official Twitter account. He will then return to Nunavut to bolster Canada's Arctic sovereignty and to unlock the North's full economic potential. And Mark Nixon points out more than 80% of Canada's exports go to the United States. Canada exports 4.8% to Europe. Why is Carney's first trip to Europe and not the United States? Does anyone see something wrong with this? So, I would like to know. I would like to, if there was an opportunity, to ask the Prime Minister why exactly he refers to Europe, who gets less of our imports than the United States, is considered a reliable partner. And why isn't his first responsibility to go to the United States to negotiate out of this trade war? I thought you wanted to be done with this. I thought that the tariffs are bad for Canadians and it's going to affect Canadian businesses. Don't you want to resolve that? No. Turns out Mark Carney does not want to resolve that. Because the more tariffs that are placed, the more emphasis on the hatred of America and the hatred of Donald Trump and the hatred of Elon Musk and the American way and how they're posing all these tariffs is gaining more attention for him. And he's getting more votes because of it. Because he can look tough, he can look resilient against the Americans. But I don't know why he's going to fly over to Europe to negotiate literally less than 5% of Canada's exports. I don't understand that. But I guess because they're also committed to NATO atrocities like Ukraine, is that what they consider a reliable partner? Because it's not reliable when it comes to trade. So where's the reliability on? Is it because of NATO? Is it because we're more Eurocentric? That's what I'd be asking him. But that's probably why Mark Carney is never actually going to hold China accountable for its tariffs. Why it will never be presented in the same light and the same harshness as the American tariffs, because Mark Carney, through his years at Brookfield and being part of the private sector, has gained a lot of business influence by China, all of which has never been presented in the campaign. None of it got addressed, and now he's the prime minister. It shows you the levels of corruption you couldn't even imagine.